Welcome to Look Behind the Look, the new podcast that examines iconic looks in film, television, music, and fashion history. I'm your host, Tiffany Bartok. Dear Diary, sorry I haven't written for a while. The truth is... Okay, that was cute, right? No, I'm sorry that we took a little bit of a pause, but it's for a good reason, and I'm going to tell you why. We have been recording a lot of episodes, and they're really exciting, and we'll be rolling them out from now until the end of the year, and then we're going to say goodbye to 2020 and welcome 2021 with some great new episodes. So thanks for listening all this time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of these episodes that we have coming up. Stay tuned to Look Behind the Look via Instagram, where I'll be teasing out who's coming up and when, and we'll be able to get you all the facts that you need to know about who's coming up. I want to share with you another promo code this week, and this one's to the makeup show, and the code is TMS Virtual 5. TMS Virtual 5, and this is for $5 off at the makeup show, which is virtual now. And the virtual makeup show is going on from January 29th to the 31st in 2021. The virtual makeup show is a great platform for attendees to network and learn, get inspired, and receive pro discounts, the best part, from a wide range of brands, from indie to the top beauty brands, all from the comfort of your own home. It's a beauty event offering over 30 educational sessions and 50 plus beauty brands in an active virtual show experience. You get to interact live with the brands, shop online at pro discounts, and you get to have must-have beauty products at the end of all of it and receive educational opportunities with top industry artists. The virtual makeup show's main goal is to provide a safe space for working artists to advance their careers and create connections with other working artists in this crazy, crazy climate. So please, please, please head to makeupshow.com/virtual and enter the code that I mentioned to receive $5 off. TMS Virtual 5. I did this in September, by the way, and I participated in the virtual show, and it was so great. It's super intimate. You get up close to everything. You don't have to crowd around the front to see the makeup looks up close, and you can participate and interact really easily with everybody and still do the same level of networking that you can do in person, actually. So I highly recommend taking part in this. You're going to really enjoy it. Today, we are going to talk to Gina Brooke, who is a force in the industry. When I talked to her, she was coming off the press tour with Kathryn Newton in Freaky, and she's known for her artistry and her product creation. She is an innovator and a supreme artist. I love referring to her as an eyelash architect because she mastered this skill as artistic director for Shu Uemura. She was the artistic director also for Hourglass, and she is presently the global ambassador for Intraceuticals. And her clients include celebrities like Anne Hathaway, Kerry Washington, Cher, and most famously, Madonna, who we are going to talk a lot about today. She's obviously more than Madonna, but we decided to really go inside the looks for the Confessions tour, and the video hung up. So here is Gina. Where are you today?
We moved to Santa Barbara.
That's okay. So you're in Santa Barbara, but you were doing Freaky all week last week or 2 weeks ago?
The week before, we were doing press for Freaky.
I haven't seen it yet. Did you get a chance to see it?
I'm planning on seeing it when Julian's dad gets in town.
Okay. Yeah,
I can't take him. I think it'll scare him.
Yeah, I think so. The trailer came on the other day, and Jackson was like, I want to see that. And I was like, I'm going to watch it first.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's more for teenagers and adults.
It looks really cute.
It is
really cute.
She's cute. Oh my God, she's so cute.
That's actually a good segue into a lot of people that are listening like to hear about how things are working, like with COVID, and that's what is going on for press with that? Is it Zooms? What's happening? What does a personal do during a press junket now?
So the press junket that I did last week was 2 weeks ago was interesting because it was very well organized. We all, of course, had to take COVID tests prior. But what was interesting is that a lot of the Zoom calls were what was interesting is a lot of the calls were over Zoom for press. And then they had like a ballroom in a hotel where they had both artists, both lead artists who were in the movie, side by side, 6 feet apart, and the director was on a monitor. And so it was a limited group of people in the room.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
But
And then they just
really well organized.
I think you have to be now. It's almost like I really am liking the pre-planning that is like way more intense. And I think that'll probably stay.
I think so too. I actually like the intimacy of sets. I think I've always thought like, why are there so many people here? Is this really necessary?
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yes. Gina, we just jumped right in with that question, but I am so happy to be seeing you. Just so people know, we met at a party. We were seated next to each other at Troy Surratt and Nathaniel Hawkins had a party for Surratt Beauty. And it was
whom I love, by the way.
Yes. And they say hi. And I had the best night of my life because you were my little seatmate and we had so much fun. And I think you're an incredible artist. I'm so grateful for you for taking the time to talk to me today and share some of your.
Same.
Oh, Gina, you're the best. You really are so professional and meticulous, and your detail is just uncomparable.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I feel the same thing about you, Tiffany. I mean, your movie, Larger Than Life, I do want to start by saying that from the bottom of my heart, I'm so grateful to you for directing and creating that movie, because before you, there really weren't directors who celebrated artistry and talent and innovation like Kevyn Aucoin. I think when you go back and reflect on an artist's life or career, I remember growing up, there were, I never imagined being a makeup artist because the credits were never in a magazine.
Right.
We were never talked about or acknowledged at all. No. And for you to make Larger Than Life and really celebrate Kevyn as he should be celebrated, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because it really put a light on artistry. And I think it created a shift in our industry that our role as an artist and creating someone's look is important. It's not just fun. Yeah. It's important. It's a job.
Thank you. I was not expecting that. Thank you so much. That was so unnecessary. And I just appreciate you saying that, because your opinion means a lot to me. And so I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
I think what I set out to do was, I remember there was a girl who didn't know anything about Kevyn. And then when I showed her the looks that he did, she was like, oh my God, so she did recognize all of his work and didn't know that he was behind that. And that was definitely the mission, which I find, happening, that I've been doing this podcast. It's so funny what I've discovered. First of all, that when people send me their work, I don't realize like, oh my gosh, you did that. I thought it was this person, or, sometimes the artist even claims it, and, the mastery that goes behind creating these looks is just really important to define and accentuate.
Absolutely. Well, there's a lot of ego in our industry. So sometimes we're not giving the credit we deserve. I can't tell you how many times my name was never mentioned in a majority of the things that I've created, which is, it just is what it is. And unfortunately, I'm grateful to have been a part of that production or team, but it is disappointing when you work so hard and you dedicate, your whole heart into something and you're not even acknowledged for it. And it happens all the time.
Yeah. What is that about? What do you think happens there?
Well, it really depends who you're working for and who you're working with. Oftentimes, maybe someone out of the team will be celebrated. Yeah. Usually it's the stylist.
Oh, interesting. Right.
If you think about when you compare the team, stylists have so much more of a say than hair and makeup. I don't know why. It is a collaborative union, so it is unclear why makeup artists are not questioned on as to how this look was created and why. It's more about, I think it should be a collaboration of hair, makeup, and wardrobe for sure.
Yes. It's interesting. It happens in film too, where, producers contribute so much and then they're the unsung heroes as well. And the director is just like the face of it, and the editor. And so it can, if people don't feel appreciated, it can be kind of a war, but if they feel appreciated, and they feel like I know what I contributed, then it's all a beautiful collaboration,
Absolutely. No question.
Well, let's talk about how you got started, Gina. I mean, that's
Sure.
always a good place to begin, and it's what everybody wants to know.
Okay, so how I got started. I was attending school at FIT. I was living in Manhattan, struggling to pay my bills and put myself through school. And I remember a model, I had a fit model who was absolutely beautiful. And one day she said to me, I do so many things for you and we need an even exchange. So could you do my makeup for a photo shoot? And I looked at her and thought, but I'm not a makeup artist. And she said, oh no, the way you do your makeup is perfect. And I don't know anything about makeup and you definitely be better than me. And I thought, sure, why not? I can paint. My mom was a painter. Why not? I can do this. So I showed up on set with all of my products because I had always been a product junkie.
Nice.
And I remember having a creative moment where I thought, wow, this is so inspiring what I'm doing. I love it so much. I started asking her questions like, what do makeup artists get paid? And, what kind of jobs do you find are most creative? And, what does it take to be a makeup artist? And she explained to me, you need a portfolio. And it seemed very complicated and overwhelming. I thought, okay, well, that seems like a lot of hard work. I'm already in school. I should maybe just stick with fashion design. And I'll never forget, 3 months later, she called me and she said, I've got great news. The photographer is going to call you and he wants to hire you for a job. And I thought, oh my God, this is incredible. Now I had no idea what it took to what goes into an actual production.
Right.
So I would have never taken that risk, known that I was so green. But because I was, I guess, enthusiastic and excited, I thought, okay, I'm going for it. So I'll never forget, he called me up and said, I've got great news. The photos we worked on, I entered them as a spec and they got into, I believe it was British Vogue. And I thought, wow, I didn't know what a spec was. I go, that's amazing. I just heard
Vogue.
The word Vogue in it.
Yeah.
And he said, what is your day rate? And I thought, oh my God, here's where I'm going to lowball myself, because she told me what makeup artists get paid from this much to that much. And I thought,
it was like,
I don't know
a
where I
valley
belong.
of difference. Right.
So I immediately, acted quickly and said, what is the day rate? And he said, I'll never forget. He's like, $2,000. And I thought, wow, that was in the 90s.
Right.
I was like struggling like all month long to make my bills.
Yes.
And to make that much money in one day, I thought, sign me up. I'm your girl. And so I showed up and, I guess I had an advance in that my mom was a painter. So I knew how to mix colors and I knew how to paint a canvas. So it seemed very similar to painting a face, only it moved. Right. And I remember there were 2 girls that showed up and they were both completely different, had both different skin colors. And it was incredible. It was effortless. I enjoyed it. I ended up working again and again and again. And then he referred me to someone else, and I started focusing on basically advertising and fashion in New York at the time. And then it wasn't until the early 2000, it's actually 2001, right before September 11th, I realized that if I wanted longevity in the beauty industry, that I needed to start working with celebrities, because celebrities began gracing covers of magazines. And I remember packing my bags and moving to California. And it was kind of a very stressful experience, because the moving company accidentally packed 7 years of all my portfolios and reels and lost them. And it was before our work was online. So you can imagine it was absolutely devastating and overwhelming. Yes. And so I had to do all kinds of crazy jobs to
make up for that,
sustain myself.
And
finally, when I thought, this is it, I've tried so much, and all the photographers who I had worked with either worked downtown or in the meatpacking district. And the majority of the photographers that worked downtown by the World Trade Center had lost their studios. And I couldn't possibly call them up and say, hey, remember in 1999 when we did that, photo shoot for Elle or whatever it was? So I had to start from scratch, and it was really humbling. I met a photographer who happened to assist her Brits, and he and I did tests in his house for about a year and a half, and I finally got a portfolio together.
Wow.
And, from there, I ended up booking Madonna as my first big celebrity client.
What was that what was that first job?
It was, well, my first photo shoot, my first job was just like press. She was doing interviews.
Okay.
But my first real big production with Madonna was for the cover of her tour. It was for her tour promotion. Mm-hmm. And it was with Steven Klein. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget, when I first saw her, I thought, wow, she's so much younger and more youthful and beautiful in person than she is in photos. And I realized that the person who had been working with her would just put a lot of makeup on her. And some people look better with less makeup. And to me, she did. So I ended up creating this look where she was, I don't know if you know this photo, but it's sort of like looks like Marie Antoinette, and
yes, of course, yes.
That was my first photo shoot with her.
Oh,
wait,
wow!
1 moment, I'm just going to fix the lighting because
wow.
I sure could use it. Okay,
please.
So that was my first photo shoot. It was overwhelming to say the least, because I had no idea what I was in store for. There was another makeup artist there who was like a backup makeup artist in case things didn't work out with me, because
my God.
Yeah.
And did you know at the time, or is this a looking back thing? Did you know at the time why
the minute I got there?
Oh God.
I'll never forget. I thought, I better not mess up, because there's someone literally on set waiting for me to make a mistake, to take this job from me.
Oh my God.
It was kind of scary.
Yes.
Overwhelming.
So wait, but did I remember that you left your portfolio in a cab as well? And did that?
Not me, girl.
No,
oh, no, I'd never leave my portfolio in a
cab.
It
was the move. Right. Because I remember that there was always a model who left their portfolio in a cab.
No, the moving company came into my home and said, I told them, do not touch this table. My life is on this table. And I'll never forget, I am such an OCD type of person. Everything has to be organized and color coordinated. And being in my apartment at the time with people packing, and it was just overwhelming. I thought, I'm just going to step out for a moment. I'm going to have a coffee, and I'm going to come back, and hopefully this mess will be over by the time it's, I arrive. And I'll never forget, when I walked back into the apartment, all of my portfolios and reels had been packed. And the foreman said, oh, don't worry, it's on the truck. We'll just send it to you when you get to California. And I said, no, I need that prior. I need it to be with me in my hand
At
on
all
the plane.
times. Yeah.
And I'll never forget, my dad was driving me to the airport and I get a phone call and it's the foreman. And he said, I'm really sorry. We emptied the truck and for some reason we can't find the box, but don't worry, we have insurance. And I thought, no way, there's no insurance here for me.
No.
That's it.
It had to have happened for a reason, but I don't know how you how you reconciled with that.
Well, my dad was like, it's a sign, you're not supposed to leave. But I thought,
that way.
I've made this commitment. I'm going for it. And I have to say, it was the best thing that ever happened to me because it took me out of my comfort zone and put me in a position where it was necessity breeds ambition. And when you need, you're more ambitious. And I felt that I did things and worked in this garage with this photographer for a year and a half on people that I would never have the opportunity to work with. Because working with Herb Ritz, he was a very special guy. His name's Brian Bowen Smith. And you know Brian Bowen Smith?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The funny thing is, I remember going into the Beverly Center and walking through the mall because I had no friends and I was trying to keep myself busy. And I was looking at all of the makeup. And I remember seeing Carolyn Murphy and thought, oh my God, that girl, her face is perfection. I would really love to work with her one day. And when Brian called me for a job, and it was a free job, and he said, hey, listen, I've got a girl, can you do hair and makeup? And I thought, yeah, of course I could do hair and makeup. By the way, I cannot do hair.
Right.
I can do braids, I could do ponytail, but I can't do hair.
Right.
But I thought, if this is what it takes for me to get this job, then I'm your hair girl.
Of course.
And he said, can you style? And I said, sure, I could style.
Yeah.
So I brought all of my clothes, my best clothes. And he said that the girl that we were working with didn't want a huge entourage because we were going to her house and it was going to be low key. And I thought, no problem. I'll never forget. He didn't tell me who it was. And when we rang her bell, there it was. There she was. Carolyn Murphy opened the door.
You manifested it.
I manifested it.
Yeah.
I am I believe in manifestation, and I'm a visual person, and I have to make visual storyboards in order for my dreams to come true, because if I don't, then it won't happen. But if I visually create a board of what I envision, then
hi Julian.
then it's possible.
Oh, of course. I mean, and is that how you work in general? Like when you are creating a look or something, is it all visual for you? How does that?
All visual.
Yeah. So how does that come
visual.
Together?
So, I take bits and pieces of different things that it could be textures, it could be colors, it could be just an overall look, and then mixed in with maybe different vignettes of like eyes, lips, colors, and then I put it all together and it just kind of comes together.
Yes. I mean, Confessions specifically is so put together. I feel like everything, I was just watching the videos this morning and my confession is that Hung Up was my MySpace. Okay. It was my MySpace embedded video on constant playing for like years. It's very
That's really funny.
I loved that look so much.
Thank you.
Yes. And the colors in that were really good, but it played through the whole album. I mean, did it think in albums when it came to those?
No, I mean, the interesting thing about working with someone like that, like Madonna, is that the looks are never premeditated or strategized.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Never. We never sit around a table and say, this is the feeling, this is the vibe, this is where we're going. It's never like that. It actually, it conceptualizes as like a process in different components. For example, like we'll do a music video for that particular song and we'll just at the time, the confessions consisted of inspirational elements from the 1970s disco era.
Mhm.
So it would make sense to do something that was 1970s, but also spinning it, making it my own. And that's when I, added the diamond lashes, because it seemed like the right thing to do.
Of course, diamond lashes are always the right thing to do. How did that happen? I mean, how did you do that so that they don't look too much? They are so elegant and beautiful. And do you want to share the story about them? I mean, they're like their own creation.
Sure.
To be in a museum.
Thanks. I still have them though. It's
You
funny.
do?
I have them in a lucite glass. Yeah, I save them. I save everything. I save all of my,
I love that.
My creations, because I think that it's part of my journey.
Yes,
And,
of course.
Those lashes started as Eyelash first. They
Okay.
were, the first tour was Reinvention.
Mm-hmm.
And with Reinvention, what most people don't know is every single tour I've made her something specific.
Okay.
Sometimes it wasn't talked about or celebrated in any way, which was fine because it was just for her and it was our thing, but it makes a great story. Like, for example, the first for Reinvention tour, I made her mink lashes. And I remember calling Peter Malachi, who at the time was working for Shu Uemura.
Oh, yes, of course.
And
yes.
I called him and said, hey, I'm a huge fan of Shu Uemura. And it's my dream to make lashes with Mr. Uemura. So I've just been hired to do the makeup and create the look in collaboration with Madonna's team for her Reinvention tour. And I'd love to collaborate on a set of lashes. And Peter was like, no problem. Let's do this. This sounds like a great idea.
Oh, wow.
And I basically drew a series of different lashes. I mean, I have a whole book of different series of lashes that I thought would work. And then I brought my top favorite to Mr. Uemura. We met at a hotel with a translator. I told him my idea for the lash, that I want it to be furry, natural looking, but thick and really transformative. But only on one condition, that he will never sell these false lashes because they're made of mink. And according to my research, mink shed during the winter months, so they can only take the hairs from the shedding and they cannot harm the animals.
Okay.
And so not selling them would be promoted. I didn't want to promote animal cruelty.
Got it.
So, but I thought if I just make them for her, and I explained that what we could do further down the line is we can create a faux fur version and sell them as a lash collection. And that's exactly what we did. And we ended up opening lash bars all over the world. And then it wasn't until 2006 did I add the diamonds, because it was the disco era. And I thought, okay, I've already have these amazing lashes.
So you had the lashes.
I might as well just
the lashes,
put the
and then
diamonds
you added the
on
diamonds.
top.
I see. Oh my God.
Yeah.
There's
So
that.
it was so much fun. And they became the world's most expensive lashes.
Yes. Oh, I can remember. I mean, I just remember it was like, who's wearing them? Everybody reporting them, J-Lo, and the price tag. I remember all of that. Oh, isn't that amazing?
Amazing. Who would ever think that someone would buy a pair of lashes that I made that are $10,000? I never imagined it. It just happened. But that is, I believe, as an artist, when you really follow your inner GPS and you do things that inspire you and make you feel excited and good, it just all unfolds eventually.
That's 100% true. Yes. You can tell, like, the universe can sniff out your intentions and see if they're real or not.
No question. No question.
Yes. Oh my God. Are there any other favorite products that you remember that you worked with? I know that, especially with Shu Uemura, I'm sure, like did you work with Shu Uemura a lot, or I'm just thinking of their foundation?
I did. He was a huge mentor to me.
What an amazing experience.
To work with, I'm sorry.
What an amazing experience. Yeah.
Oh, he was a huge mentor. to me, and a huge inspiration to me as an artist. He really was an entrepreneur in his own right. And he had a very calm, very soothing energy that made you just feel so inspired. I'll never forget when I would fly to Japan often for photo shoots, and he would be there, watching me do the makeup. And I would just be like, please, for the love of God, don't let me make a mistake. He's right over me, behind me, watching. But it was also exciting, and it just made me want to do better and be better, because he's very much about innovation, always thinking forward, always moving ahead, and innovating your craft. So to have that level of expertise around me, and what is the word? Experience, was unlike anything I had ever imagined. And it was the best form of schooling as an artist, because you can't learn something like that. It's right. It just happens. And so, you can't go to school and try to learn that. You have to
experience it completely.
You have to be overwhelmed and vulnerable and fearful to really dive into it.
It sounds like your brain really has an affinity for solving problems with products, though. Like, you were able to make a lot of products, and you've done a lot of product development and stuff. Do you know, has that come from experience that you've had on set, and then you're coming up with solutions?
I believe it stems from like a fight or flight mode. Because you are around so many people who are creative and who bring so much to the table.
Yes.
And when you're surrounded by groups of people like that, you want to be better. And so in my mind, I'm thinking it's either I can't do this, or I'm just going to go for it and fight for it. And so with the mink lashes, that was a great experience. The diamond lashes was an amazing experience. I also created one year this gold eyeshadow. It was made from real gold, and I made it with a jeweler. And so we used real gold eyeshadow.
How did this happen? That's amazing. How would you even think to collaborate with a jeweler?
Because my last collaboration involved jewelry, and I love anything that sparkles, and I love things that are
fantastic.
I think I love nature, and I love life in general. So, but when you find inspiration through nature, and even if it's something as natural as a diamond or gold, like this is like Earth's treasures, right?
Right.
So as pretentious as it may seem, it's also part of the earth. Yeah. And to create something from the earth in my field of beauty, I felt like it kind of all made sense to me.
That's incredible.
Anybody can make an eyeshadow, anybody can make a lash, but it's about taking the things that you love and bringing those elements together and producing something that maybe is unusual. That's why I don't like to follow trends. I feel like I was never a trend. Oh, this is so, whenever anybody asks me, so what is the trend? I'm really cringing inside, because I believe that people should celebrate their individuality. They shouldn't look like everybody else.
No, I know, it's exhausting. And then when is it even a trend anymore? I don't even, you know what I mean? It's like everything has started to look the same. Where do you see things going? I don't know, trend wise. I feel it's all blended together. There's nothing really I think that it's almost a trend to be totally against the trend.
Yeah, I think it is now, but I've always been against it before it was trendy. But I will say, I think where we're going, especially with everything that's happening now in our day and age, I think it's almost a relief to go back to the basics, because makeup, especially on Instagram, let's face it, none of it is realistic. It looks great, and it's so much fun to define and accentuate using like heavy makeup and, you know, that contouring, which I really don't know any makeup artist who does that type of contouring. I don't. Maybe not in my lifetime. I've always contoured with light more than with darkness, because
with the highlight,
darkness can harden a face. So if you use more light, it softens and makes things more beautiful. But I think when you look at some of these looks on Instagram or YouTube, they're great, and I appreciate them, and I appreciate the person's ability to really go for it. But if you walk out and you're in the sun and someone looks at you and you've got like these painted eyebrows and these streaks, it doesn't look pretty in person.
Right.
It looks almost like a wax figure.
We have to talk about this now. I want to talk to you about your MVPA and what that was like to be awarded. Because as we were saying, you know, they don't recognize makeup artists in awards, you know, except for the Emmys and things like this, but like never, you know, we were talking earlier too about how the community is, and it's difficult to feel seen and rewarded, and unless you're the loudest one in the room. And, you know, how did that feel to be awarded for your makeup?
It was amazing. I actually had no idea that I was going to win, because I believe expectations lead to disappointments. So for me to go in there, I was just honored to be acknowledged and never imagined winning. In fact, I didn't prepare a speech. So when I was shocked, I believe in expectations lead to disappointment. So I had no expectations whatsoever. And then when I got there and they called my name, I was in complete shock that I actually didn't even prepare a speech. So for me, it was like short and sweet. I thanked everyone and then just ran off the stage. It was just, I didn't expect it. And it was so nice. It really was. I'd never won anything in my life. So this to me was like, I couldn't believe it.
Oh, that's fantastic. But your record, do you feel that, something that I think about all the time is how makeup artistry is a service versus an artistry. To some people, they view it as artistry, they view it as a service, right? And how the world is divided up into the two viewpoints of a makeup artist, right? And it's how the artist sees themselves and how others see the artist. And I wondered if you had anything to say about that and how you feel or see things in your world, in the industry.
I think it comes down to who it is you're working with. Because the energy, I always bring the energy that I'm the artist and I'm here to share my artistry and give my ultimate best. Then you may work for someone, when you walk in, they're going to tell you exactly what they want, and they don't want to hear your ideas. And then you feel like you're providing a service.
Yes.
Right. And it's disconcerting sometimes, because you can show up on a set and feel so excited to provide something that you know would bring to the table and really transform this person's look, because they need it so badly. A lot of times, some of these people are in this same look, and they're not interested in reinventing themselves. So to have the ability to show up and really reinvent someone and make them look their ultimate best, you can't do that if they're not open to it. So that's when I kind of go, okay, you know, I understand they're hiring me, but they really want to hire me to create the look that they want, not the look that I want. And sometimes I'll go in there and it will be that type of energy, and I will make some suggestions like, hey, why don't we try this? Have you ever done this before? And I was really looking at your facial features. And this is what I noticed about you that I think you've never enhanced before. Like I'm noticing your eyes you're always enhancing your lips, but really your eyes are your best feature.
Mm-hmm.
And I would try to celebrate and accentuate that feature as opposed to the one that they're used to. And that can really make that transition. However, if the person's not open to it, then you just have to wash your hands and, give them what they want. You may never get called back again because then that person ends up feeling, oh, that person didn't give me anything new.
That's such a catch-22. It's a trap. It's a trap.
It's just the reality of our business. And
I know.
You just have to always hope for the best because you never know what you're going into.
That is so well said. And I guess there's the type of artist that can either choose to live that way or, go along that way. And then they do have their clients that are more collaborative, I guess, and that balances it out, or they can just refuse to. I mean, you say you might not get asked back, but perhaps you find yourself busy those times that you're requested again.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the first time I'd worked for Madonna, I'll never forget. I walked into her house. She had us set up in a really small bathroom. And I'll never forget, my agent gave me a heads up and said, just so you know, she's going to test you. So you got to be ready for anything. So, of course, I brought everything that I've had.
Yes.
And I'll never forget, I told her that I wasn't going to use foundation on her, and she was not happy about it. And she had this like 10 times mirror.
Oh, yeah.
So like, as I was doing the makeup, I would take a face spray that I had, which was one of my favorite face sprays at the times. It was by Shu Uemura.
Of course.
And I would spray her face, and she would say, why are you spraying my face? What are you doing? Why are you doing that? And I would say things like, well, your skin is more receptive to moisture. So I spray the face first before I hydrate the skin. And well, what's in it? And then I would have a story because I know my ingredients and I know my products. I would say, well, this face spray is special because they extract water that is they extract minerals and go 360 degrees below the surface of the water. And I would tell her all the details of why they did it and why it's so important. And she was testing me, and I knew all of my products. But I also stood firm because I felt that if I kind of was nervous and scared, she probably would never use me again.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
Nobody wants to work with someone who's not confident.
Absolutely.
And so I remember as I was applying the makeup, she was like, why are you putting concealer first? I'm like, I'm only using concealer on you. And she said, wait a minute, I'm not sure I feel good about this. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll just do one side of your face. We'll focus on that one side first. And if you like it, I'll move on to the other.
That's a good idea.
And so she literally, with like a 10 times mirror, watched every single stroke.
Oh my God.
And I didn't have the opportunity to, have that moment where here it is, this is your look.
The reveal.
She watched every stroke as I did it. And it was nerve-wracking, but I thought, you know what? She has worked with every single great makeup artist in the world. I am honored and happy to have this opportunity to be with her today. I have to bring something to the table maybe that someone else hasn't brought before. And so I'm going to try to just follow my instinct and do what I think is going to be best on her. And I remember she really wasn't open to any of my ideas. And that's why when we did the one side of the face, the ironic thing behind that is that my entire career, I ended up doing her makeup for a decade, doing one side of the face first and then the other side.
Shut up.
No.
I love that.
And from, after working with her for over a decade, now I don't work straight in front of someone. I'm kind of off to the side. I can't help it.
Isn't
Because
that
when you work with someone
something?
every single day for a decade, you fall
Aw.
into these habits. And
Yeah.
that is one of my habits.
That is so
Isn't
amazing.
that funny?
Oh my God. I love
And
that.
like that was a very interesting moment. And but she liked what I did. And then the next day I received so much press from her look saying, why does she look 10 years younger? What did Madonna do? She didn't do anything. It was like 2003.
Less makeup.
It was less because
Mhm.
when you see her in person, she's much more
Flawless.
beautiful.
Yeah. Wow, that's really something. Oh my God, I would not want to be in that bathroom. I'm telling you. You know, but
Yeah.
that's so true what you're saying because about the testing, because I'll never forget when I had to interview Naomi, and it was the scariest one for me, just like from how scared I was. And I remember we had waited like 3 hours, and then she had 2 phones. One was, I guess, another country, and one was, you know, her here. And I can't remember who she was calling, her nephew, for a Christmas present. She just was going like this on the 2 phones, trying to, and we were waiting and waiting and waiting. And then she would look up between the calls, and then she'd make another one, you know. And I realized, like, it was kind of, I was meditating while this is happening. I'm like, she's just waiting for me to rush her or say that this is bothering me or something, you know, and then we didn't. And then it was over. And then she gave us all the time in the world. But that was the test, you know, because I heard of people where that not going well, you know what I mean? People rushing her, asking her to get off the phone or whatever, you know. And I was like, what do I'm here. This is what I'm doing. I will wait until you're done.
You know, I worked with Naomi for over 2 years.
How was that?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, this is funny. I have to tell you a funny story. So
Tell me.
At the time, I had been working with Steven Klein nonstop for many jobs and for many years. And he said to me, I want to introduce you to Naomi. She would love you. And I thought, oh no, I am not going out like that. Because you know, as an artist, if you have a bad experience with one of their friends, you're out.
Yeah. Goes
and
everywhere.
I thought, I don't want to lose him as a client. I don't need to work with Naomi. I'm fine. And it was right around where she was just getting like the worst press possible.
Right.
But this was interesting for me because Orbay and I had worked together often with Steven, and Orbay was doing her hair. And I remember that for about a year, Steven had said, oh, we're going to do a photo shoot with Naomi. Are you available next week? And I'm like, oh, so sorry, I'm not. And I would just, you know, bob and weave anytime he asked me to do a job with her. Until one day, I think he knew that I was scared.
Oh, and he pushed you.
Well, he just booked me on a job, and he said it's for like a Pinko campaign, or it was for some sort of campaign. And I said, okay. And I show up, and who walks in the door but Naomi? And I was like a deer in headlights. I wasn't like starstruck. I was just scared.
Yeah.
And this is interesting because, you know, you listen to all of these horrible things that people say about, or the press says about a person.
Sure.
And it creates this person, this character in your head that you can't steer away from it. And so I had this vision in my head that this was going to be an utter destruction of my relationship with Steven. But then, interestingly, she walked up to Steven, and I had been talking to him, and he's like, Naomi, I've been trying to introduce you to Gina for over a year. You're going to love her. She's amazing, and she does the best skin ever. You'll see. And she looked at me, and she, like, from head to toe, and she goes, we'll see about that.
Oh.
And I thought, what? Did she just say that?
Yes.
So like I went running along to like my makeup area, and I just started organizing everything and taking out things that I know would look good on her. And I had an amazing experience with her.
Yeah. Oh,
like after I did her makeup, she called Steven over and said, you know, who is this girl? She did a great job. I love the way my skin looks. And I ended up working with her for so many years, well, for 2 years. But what was interesting is she has never treated me poorly or disrespectfully ever. And, you know, now after that experience, I really do. And of course, working with someone like, you know, Madonna, you really have to think about what is true and what is not true. We really don't know, right?
Totally. And it's about the experience that you have with that person, you know.
Exactly. And I've always had great experiences with her. Even she's taught me things about makeup that I felt was so inspiring, you know, how she likes to be contoured and what she likes. And of course, when you're doing her makeup, there's 2 phones. They're going back and forth.
Yes,
you know, she's like this, you got to work like this. But yeah, so never had a bad experience ever. Always positive, always inspiring, always fun.
It's not the people. It's the other people on the team that are always, you know, I guess everybody's stressed out, and it's like, I feel like it's always the other people on a team that make things more difficult sometimes.
You know what? I'm really glad that you brought that up, because that is exactly right. Especially if the team is loaded with sycophants.
Oh my God, completely.
That is where it's bad, because there's this weird game that goes on. Do you know it?
Yeah.
Where they want to make one person the bad guy.
Yes.
And you just hope that you're not part of that, like, raffle.
It happens in movies all the time. I know.
So, you know, you just pray that it's not you. That's why when I'm working, I'm not the big personality in the person's face. Right. I'm quiet. Right. To me, it's their time to unwind. It's their time to relax. I'm not trying to be on. Mm-hmm. I let the hair people do that. Like, let them, because they're behind her. So it's or behind the client. It's much easier for them than it is for me.
That's interesting. Yeah. Cause you're in their face. Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting. Yeah. That brings me to advice. You know, I was going to ask what advice you have for the billions of other men and women out there that are playing in their mirrors and, you know, thinking that they want to get into this game. And, you know, they might think that being loud and, you know, because think about it, you're on a screen and you're doing it on yourself and you're, you know, talking about makeup all day long and you're talking. And then when you get to a set, that's not what the people necessarily want.
No,
they don't want the star.
No. And the problem is, I think now today is with Instagram and social media in general, I think that a lot of these people who are, oh God, this could be tricky, but a lot of those people who are sitting in their bedroom, spending hours doing makeup on themselves, I would love to put them on a photo shoot and bob and weave in between personalities and egos and see how well they do. Mm-hmm. It is an art to avoid all of that drama. And I think the best advice would be that you are not the celebrity.
Right.
Let's face it. And so if you show up on a job and you think you are, you know, the celebrity, then you're setting yourself up for a major disappointment. Mm-hmm. And mostly, I think, know your worth. You have to really know your worth, because
how can you do that these days?
Well, the problem is we have a industry that is oversaturated. Mm-hmm. And with an oversaturated industry, if someone wanted to become a makeup artist and didn't know how, the first thing I would tell that person is, one, know what type of artistry you want to go into. For example, if you want to go into film and television, then I would say, then you should definitely assist someone, and you will learn so much. You can go to school, you can learn different types of styles of makeup, like FX makeup, all kinds of things like that. That would be a great I encourage that for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you want to do celebrities and you want to do models and fashion and editorial, I think it's important for artists to know, because my job, ideally, I want to encourage people. I want to inspire them to fulfill their dreams. But I also think a lot of artists who have done well in their career aren't really candid with what they can expect in this industry. And that's not fair to them, because it's going in blindfolded. What they need to know is that without an agent, it is a struggle. It will be a struggle. Even with an agent, you will struggle. There'll be different levels of challenges. Alexa, stop.
Alexa
Sorry.
wants to help you with it. Alexa had something to add to that.
Alexa, stop. See, she doesn't even listen to me.
She's
Okay.
so difficult.
Okay, let me start over. Okay. For artists who want to be a part of our industry, I really want to encourage them and to inspire them to follow their dreams. But I also think it's important to have full transparency and be candid about what they can expect. For example, if they want to go into film and television, they can. However, that will give them the sense of security because there's a union behind them. Right. And if they can have the opportunity to assist someone who's already successful, that is the best way to go about learning your craft aside from going to school.
Mm-hmm.
If the artist chooses to pursue a career in advertising, working with models and celebrities, they are in for a major struggle. And when I say that, I mean, today, for example, you don't have to be talented to be a successful makeup artist. You can be an artist that sits in your room and have tons of followers and you will be celebrated. But if you actually want to be that artist where you're creating looks on the set, you have to know that there is no union to protect you. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if you book a job, let's just say you have an agent. Best case scenario, you have an agent. You book a job, you can be confirmed, but also you can get canceled the night before because that person's favorite person came available and now you're out. You can book a job and that production company can go out of business. It is incredibly difficult to try to receive payment from a production company that has claimed Chapter 11. Things like that. Yeah. You have to pay for your own insurance. You're billed as an independent contractor, so you have to pay for your own taxes. In addition, you have to pay your agent. So there is so much at stake to working in this field, but also you need to know what you're getting into. Do you want to struggle? Because you will. Mm-hmm. And if you're willing to be strong enough and courageous enough to go for it, you have to accept all of these challenges as a part of your journey.
That's really inspiring.
Really?
Yes, because I think that you showed that it works, like you lost your entire, all of your stuff. You showed up to work and someone was there breathing down your neck, there's other women who flew themselves to, I'm sure you did this too, flew themselves to Fashion Week to just show up and then just pretended like you just were in town, and that's what it takes, and I think that you've shown that works because you are a great success.
Thank you. Well, there's a lot of vulnerable lessons that you learn as an artist in this business. And when I say vulnerable, I mean like vulnerability is truth and illumination, and it forces you to face your deepest fears and overcome your restrictive forces that don't allow you to be your best.
Yeah.
So I think, for example, knowing your worth is the number one advice I would give to a makeup artist, because our business is so oversaturated. And there are many artists who really want to get ahead. And the caveat is that you have artists who are ambitious, but you also have artists who are willing to work and do it for free.
Oh, right.
And so
yeah.
what that does, and agents are guilty of it, other artists are guilty of it because maybe they want to work with your
Right.
talent, right? Or your client. What happens when you do free jobs consecutively over and over again, and it has happened in our industry over the last 10 years, is that it weakens our community, it devalues our artistry, and it disempowers us as human beings.
Yeah.
So if you're going to pursue a career as a makeup artist, you have to think about what is your 10-year plan, or what is your 5-year plan? Because if you don't think about what you're going to do towards the end of how you're going to take what you've learned as an artist and move forward, then you will, it's almost like being in a rippled, like, what is the word?
A whirlpool.
Right. It's almost as you're in a whirlpool and you're just following, the flow of the madness. You've got to understand what is it that you want to achieve from this career, because you don't want to be following that cycle, right? You want to have an end game. For me, from the very beginning, I always imagined myself creating products.
Yeah.
And I use makeup as a way to transform my business into product development. And I wouldn't be able to do the product development if I didn't have those clients. So again, it's a catch-22, but it's taking what you have and making the best of it. Yeah. And that's why I've used every single opportunity of working with my clients and creating a product that either didn't sell but was celebrated, or sold and millions all over the world. It's about taking what you know and going for it. And for me, it was product development is my thing. I love to create. That is my whole passion in my career, for me.
What are you working on? Anything right now that you can share with us?
Okay, so I'm always working on something.
Of course.
And so for me, I'm working on something that is going to provide customers with full transparency. So the product is going to be safe and effective, but also be high performance. It is all about sustainability. Oh, wow. And it's about protecting and preserving our planet. That's all I could tell you. I can't.
Well, I'm sold already.
I will let you know when it's ready, but it's almost ready.
Oh, that's exciting.
But because of everything that's happening,
oh my God,
it's not the best time to launch anything. Yeah. But I will launch it, and I'll let you know when I do.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. And please share this episode and others if you feel so inclined, and enjoy yourself this holiday season any way you can. Share with me via social networks how you are putting fun looks together for the holidays, even if you're just Zooming each other, and take care. Look Behind the Look is a Vinyl Foot production, written by me, your host, Tiffany Bartok, produced by Jace Bartok, and produced and edited by Kelly Riley. If you're interested in learning more, find our video version on the YouTube channel, Look Behind the Look Podcast. There you can see rare photos and clips from our guests. And please follow us on Twitter at LookBehindPod and Instagram at Look Behind the Look. If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe. And tell your friends and spread the word. You can subscribe to us on iTunes or any podcatcher of your choice. Thanks for listening to Look Behind the Look.